There's nowhere in the world that is this close to the US and Canada in the same hemisphere outside the hurricane belt that offers all of this. Panama City really is one of a kind. Hey there, I'm Jess Ramesch. I am International Living's Overseas Editor, and this is why I moved to Panama. In 2005, I was still in the States. I was based out of Miami, but I was a crew member. And so I spent my days working on a cruise ship and seeing the very best of what the Caribbean has to offer, and the Pacific and other parts of the world too. My work schedule was insane. We had to work a minimum of 70 hours a week. That was what our contract said. Very often we were working more than 70 hours a week with no days off for 6 to 10 months. I knew that it wasn't sustainable. I was not going to spend the next 10, 20, 30 years doing that. I knew that I could live a good lifestyle in the Caribbean, and I got to see these jet setter destinations, Grand Cayman, St. Martin. But there were other places that were much more affordable, places in Mexico, in Costa Rica, and in Panama. I knew that I could have that lifestyle and not have to work as hard and be able to live on just a lot less money. Well, Panama City was it. It's kind of a unicorn that has great mild tropical weather that is outside the hurricane zone, that has a cosmopolitan first world city. In Panama City, I had access to the Hub of the Americas, which is what the airport is known as. It is the region's best international airport, so I could continue to travel and I could have that Sex in the City lifestyle that I had grown accustomed to and that I didn't want to give up. The amazing restaurants and nightlife and entertainment and cultural options were really what drew me to Panama City, but it was also a place where somebody like me who still needed to work was going to be able to have some of the best internet and cell coverage in the region. Good electricity, water that you can drink straight from the tap was another big one for me. So infrastructure-wise, the city really was everything I was looking for. It just kept getting better. They added a subway, a metro line. It's the only one in Central America. So once that went in, I was able to pay 35 cents for a ride into downtown. No dealing with traffic. In 10 minutes, I was there. They added an international film festival and a jazz festival, and the promenade, the boardwalk along the Bay of Panama got a major sprucing. Today, it's called the Cinta Costera, and it's this beautiful, really long walkway, and it's filled with bike paths and play areas for kids. There's a little amphitheater. So it's a beautiful city with this crazy skyline. You've got towers overlooking that bay, lots of beautiful condos where you can rent and live a New York lifestyle, but you're paying anywhere from $1,100 a month to $2,500 a month for rent, and for places that are, 1,000 square feet. It's just not something you can do in places like New York or London. And it makes Panama City really, really special and really inexpensive for everything you get. Imagine having that lifestyle in California and what it would cost you. Now, I lived in Panama City for 17 years, but during the pandemic, I started to think maybe I needed a change. During the pandemic, I started to feel like I wanted more outdoor space. I wanted my own balcony. I wanted to be right close to the beach and to places where I could hike and be in nature. And so I came to look at an apartment in the beach town of Coronado. I wasn't really serious about moving out of Panama City at the time, but I was looking at apartments that had balconies, buildings that had great social areas. I walked into this apartment and saw the views and turned to the realtor and said, well, I guess I'm moving to Coronado. I could not believe what I was able to get for very little money. Again, compared to places with great weather like Florida or California. My apartment is just over 1,000 square feet, and I got an especially good deal. I thought the apartment would be about $169,000, which sounded great to me. And you can still find apartments at that price. That's pretty common here. But I ended up getting it for $155,000, which is, to me, just the greatest coup, the greatest deal ever. I live in a building on a golf course. I can see the beach. I can see Campana Mountain and National Park. I was torn between whether to live in the beach or in the mountains, and I feel like from my balcony, I have it all. I can see it all. We have amazing shows and restaurants. So in the evenings, I generally have a few different activities that I can choose from. Sometimes it'll be an expat band or a local band. Maybe they'll be doing classic rock or Latin music like salsa and merengue. I might go dancing, or I might just choose to have a lovely dinner with friends at one of my favorite restaurants. Panama uses the US dollar, so I don't really have to worry about exchange rates. It makes travel back to the States really easy as well. It does not tax overseas income, so I don't have to pay income tax on money I earn as a freelance writer here because I'm freelance writing for companies that are outside of Panamanian territory. And it doesn't tax your savings either. Those are just some of the benefits to living here. I love how convenient my life in Coronado is. There are beaches all along this coastline. So if you want to be a little ways away from the hub that is Coronado, you've got tons of stuff to choose from. But I really, as a single woman, wanted to be right in the hub. I'm close to restaurants and cafes. We have a Starbucks if you need sort of the uniformity that that offers, but we also have a lot of independent coffee shops that you can support. And of course, Panama is very well known for its coffee. That was actually kind of a deciding factor for me when I decided to move to Panama. I'm a little coffee obsessed. The coffee has to be good, and Panamanian coffee is hands down the absolute best. Just ask those people that rate coffee at the annual award shows every year, and they'll tell you that I'm right. Really, almost anywhere you go in Panama, the food is incredible. This is an amazing destination for people who love food, and it's also an amazing destination for people who appreciate wine and beer and spirits. We get really wonderful stuff from all over the world. Of course, that Panama Canal is to thank for a lot of that and for the low prices that we get. So that was also a decider for me. I needed to live somewhere where I had access to beaches and good infrastructure, but there also needed to be good wine at good prices. We have incredible shops here. We have home improvement stores called Do It Center and Novi and a couple more. So when I need something for my house, I don't have to drive into Panama City. We have an amazing drugstore called Arocha. It's big and they sell everything from jewelry and other gift items to home decor to actual drugs, pharmaceuticals that you need. It's the kind of place where you can get lost and spend several $100s if you're not careful. But I'm really happy just to have that option. And our supermarkets are so incredibly good. I can get beautiful Panamanian produce. We have markets that you can go to where you'll spend less, but at the supermarkets, I have access to so much more. And yes, you do pay a premium for some imported items, but I would rather have the choice and then decide whether or not to splurge than not have the choice. So it can be a little bit dangerous. We get everything from specialty meats and cheeses to things like curry sauces and tara masalata and just pretty much anything I can think of. If I want to have my friends over for a fancy brunch, I know that I can find some really cool stuff and blow them away. A typical day for me here at home is to wake up with the sun blasting me full on in my face because I like to wake up and say hello to good old Seoul. So I leave my curtains open, even though I have excellent blackouts. And as soon as that sun is making it impossible to sleep, that's when I get up. These days, I get to work in settings like this. My building has a gym, two pools. Very often, I'll sit at the smaller pool and then reward myself after a couple hours of work with a dip in the pool. And I'm constantly traveling throughout Panama because it's very easy and very inexpensive to do. There's so much to see and do in Coronado, outside of Coronado. My friends and I are always cooking up some excuse to get together. Sometimes it's a new restaurant in Panama City. Sometimes it's a trip to Buenaventura, which is a luxury beach destination about an hour's drive away from me. Sometimes we go there to enjoy a day of pampering at the spa, or maybe dine at the restaurant there, or maybe spend the night. I'm still close to Panama City here in Coronado. I'm just 65 miles away, but I don't really need to go into the capital for much. We have fantastic stores and retail here. And when they put in the first of our two small movie theaters, I thought to myself, well, that's it. We officially have everything now in Coronado. We have a wonderful clinic called the San Fernando. It's a satellite of one of the foremost prestigious hospitals in Panama City. And in Panama City, I have access to incredible health care, including a Johns Hopkins International affiliated hospital, Hospital Punta Pacifica. One of the reasons Panama tends to rank at the very top every year of International Living's annual Global Retirement Index is its welcoming pensionado visa. Generally speaking, Panama makes it easier to move here and become a legal resident than just about any other country. And the pensionado visa comes with some really great extra benefits. If you can prove that you have a pension of at least $1,000 a month if you're applying as a single person, add another $250 a month if you're applying with a spouse or with a dependent, then it's pretty easy to get into the program. And once you become a member and a legal resident, you have access to all of the same discounts that Panamanian retirees get. These are government mandated discounts that give you 25% off your electricity bill every year. They give you discounts on medical consults, medication, also fun things like staying at a hotel or travel or tickets to a show. Movie theater tickets are 50% off. The main goal of the program when it was created for Panamanians many years ago was to ensure that retirees could continue to live as active members of society. So when you're out and about in Panama, you will see that all the generations get together, have fun together, and party together. Now, if you do not have a pension, if like me, you're a digital nomad still working, or you just don't have a pension, there are other programs that you can apply to. Panama's Friendly Nations visa is an option if you're planning on buying a home and you're making an investment of at least $200,000. There are several other ways to get into that program. You can find out more at internationalliving.com. If you just want to test drive life in Panama, there's a new telework visa that grants you the ability to stay here for 9 months, and you can extend it for a total of 18 months. That's a nice long period to decide whether or not Panama really is right for you. And then if you decide you want to stay, you can apply for permanent residency at that point. Lots of different options, and like I say, no country makes it easier than Panama. It's really welcoming. People are so friendly here. It's so easy to make friends that you can find people to do fun stuff and be active with you as well. Now, I lived in Panama City for 17 years, so I had a social network there. And in an international city, it was pretty easy to develop that network. But when I moved here to Coronado, in some ways, I had to start over again. And here, a lot of the buildings are like little communities in and of themselves. My building, for example, we on Tuesdays have an informal happy hour. You just show up if you want to. You can bring your own drink. You can bring a snack to share if you want to, but You don't have to. And so it's really fantastic for me knowing that I have this built-in social program. There's stuff at the pool. Sometimes they have water aerobics classes. There are potlucks once a month. So I found it really easy to land here not knowing anybody and start making friends. That's the really great thing about expat communities. Sometimes I'll talk to people who say, well, I don't want to live amongst other expats. How am I going to really learn the language unless I immerse myself? Which is absolutely true. But for a first landing, I just really look to an expat community where everybody's in the same boat. Everybody got here and didn't know people, so they reach out. They expect you to ask them questions. It's a very open and dynamic community, and that to me makes my life here just incredibly easy, and it makes me happy. Generally speaking, it is such a safe place. As a single woman, this is where I'm choosing to live my life. I feel like I can go out at night and drive across the country, and I feel perfectly safe to do so. Nobody's really noticing me because it's the norm. That's what people do here. They go out and they have fun, and I'm just one of the people out there having fun. I am fluent in Spanish. You do need some Spanish to get around Panama. Generally speaking, if you're somewhere with an expat community, there are so many English speakers that even if your pharmacist or the person at the supermarket or your taxi driver doesn't speak English, you can find somebody who will assist you with translating. Somebody in line behind you will usually step over and be like, oh, let me tell the pharmacist what you're looking for. Let me help you. And of course, these days we have things like Google Translate on our phones as well. So this is a place that gives you a really soft landing, even if you don't speak any Spanish. I think it is one of the easiest places you can move to where English is not the national language. I always say to people who ask me, Panama isn't perfect. No place on earth is perfect. Believe me, I've been to a lot of them and they just aren't. But it is perfect for me. There are some challenges to living here. Some of my pet peeves include the way people drive and customer service isn't at the same level as I was maybe accustomed to when I first moved down here. But the life that I've gotten in exchange has made all the trade-offs so worthwhile. And now after all this time, they don't feel like trade-offs at all. They feel like things that have made me a better, more tolerant, more relaxed person. It's not just the beauty of this country or this town that keeps me here. It's also the people. Panamanian people and Panamanian culture is just something I appreciate so, so much. I really love how easygoing people are here. I feel like most Panamanians really know more about how to live than any of my friends or than I did back in the States. People here still take time for family. They take time to enjoy the beach and their pools and the beautiful weather. And I've really learned so much since I moved here. This country and its people have changed me, and I'm more forgiving with other people. I'm more forgiving with myself, which means I'm usually happier and I'm more relaxed. Well, I hope that you enjoyed hearing a little bit about this amazing country and why I moved to Panama and why I'm still here after so many years. The sun is about to set, so I will say goodbye. I hope you get a chance to come down and see this amazing country for yourself. There's so much to explore. I think I'm gonna go and head up to the roof for sunset cocktails. Have a great rest of the day, and maybe I'll see you in Panama.